So careful what you say. What did I say the date was? Is it June 24th?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah, we think it's June 24th.
Close enough.
Yeah, Ron and I are once again gonna hike up around the Mount A area, and today we are heading over towards what Ron calls the
Hoss Hills.
Hoss Hills. And you'll notice Hoss doesn't have an R, so it's not pronounced horse. And I want to talk to Ron about that just a little bit. But Ron, what's over at the Hoss Hills that we're going to find?
Hopefully we're going to find a couple of cellar holes and I think at least one, maybe not, 2 unmarked cemeteries. Maybe the cellar hole for schoolhouse number 7. And then on the way back, we're going to go on the road that goes in back of Welch's Pond and goes around to the east of the Hoss Hills. There's a big vernal pool over there that shows as a pond on the earlier coast and geodetic maps. If you look at them, there's another pond just to the northeast of Welch's Pond, and it's really a vernal pool. It's also the source for Ramsell's Marsh Brook. It's up very, very high, has a very steep fall, and it ends up near the bottom of the Hedgehog Rocks.
Wow.
Which is an open ledge on the mountain, which is supposed to be the original site of the Agamenticus tribe, which is a branch of the Kennecook and Pequot tribe from the upper falls at Exeter.
Wow.
Supposedly that's where they live.
Huh.
It's also the site when we go downhill on this is called the Beechwood Road. The downhill section is where Samuel Paul had a railroad that he built entirely of wood. The rails were made out of ironwood. What's it, not basswood? I can't think of the name for ironwood. I'll think of it in a while. But it was all wooden rails, and it was a steam engine up on the top of the hill, probably within 100 yards where we were, and a winch. And he made the cars, made the wheels. Everything was wood.
Wow.
Except for the cable and the steam. And he had a sawmill down there. He had a building supply company in York Beach. He was one of the early developers. He built the Whispering Sands and Jones Beach and Gift Shop. Samuel Paul. I think he might have married into the Norton family.
Wow. So if you go down by the Whispering Sands gift shop and
that's his building, and the original lumber in he sawed right up here.
Wow. Interesting.
He owned about 100 and some acres here. It was the second purchase that the Land for Maine Futures made.
Wow.
He also lived where the Duvells lived at the foot of Simpson's Hill, just down below the VFW. He had a lumber yard there, and then he had a lumber yard when he moved down to York Beach.
Wow. Do you remember him on Simpson's Hill?
And I know he married a Norton because his firstborn son was named Norton Paul.
Huh. Do you remember when he had the lumber yard down on Simpson's Hill?
It was the turn of the century.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, he was one of the early, those buildings he built with the Whispering Sands and Jones Beach and Gift Shop was originally high sand dunes. And they bulldozed, well, they didn't bulldoze because they didn't bulldozers, but they hauled the sand off and they filled in the marsh between there and the Norton property and created York Beach, which is a filled-in marsh. Of course, when the Boston and Maine came in, they bought that marsh and hauled in fill from Boston on railroad cars.
Oh, wow.
There where the where Fish Market was, and Weber's 5 and 10, Parsons Market and all that. That's all fill from Boston.
Huh, they dumped it right off the cars?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when they dig down there, there's bottles and glass and brick and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, just rubble, huh? They fire it right up.
Yeah, and it's all mixed, and then there's a layer of sea sand. It's really interesting when they do an excavation in the center because it's like a time capsule.
Huh. Are there any old pictures of the high dunes?
No.
No.
No, the closest one is one that...
was it Gough?
Yeah, Gough? William Gough.
Gough, yeah.
William Gough, and he took a picture from up on Ocean Avenue Extension looking towards York Beach, and there's still original dunes along the beach with a little gazebo on one of the dunes. And he took a picture also of the spring house that supplied the water for the houses on Ocean Avenue Extension and the Ocean House.
Yeah.
There's a spring there. And it was a big stone spring house.
Wow.
And on the top of the spring house was a goddess, and it was a Greek goddess of painting. And he got that from Ellis Park. Ellis Park had a bunch of statues in it. I don't know why. One of them ended up being the Soldier and Sailors Monument down in the park a lot, and the goddess of painting ended up on top of the spring house.
Wow, that's pretty interesting stuff. Going back to
those statues were interesting. You know, he had an animal park there.
Yeah, so there was one out there.
And why did he have those? You know, like the goddess. When the devil did he get a statue of the Greek goddess of painting?
Probably somebody didn't want him in Boston.
Yep.
Yeah, so Ron, I want to go back to the dialect thing. Haas and York and people saying they kind of leave the R out. And the older guys in the generation definitely before me, and you're not quite a generation before me, but you have a better memory of what it sounded like for the local dialect, especially like in this area. And there are people like, and I was thinking this morning, there's people like that were in your class, I think Brad Weber, Myron was probably a year younger than you, or a couple of years.
Myron Moulton?
Yeah, Myron Moulton.
He's a couple of years older.
A couple of years old, yeah.
Earl Hansen.
Yeah, yeah, and all those guys had this real drawl.
That's the original English. In 1945, I think it was, the University of Rochester was some type of a grant, came up here, and they recorded the people, and they recorded Alonzo Hooper, who was a singer. And they said that the type of language that the natives spoke up here was the closest to the colonial dialect that there was left anywhere in New England. And those recordings are at I think the University of Rochester. I have one of them of Lonnie singing.
So that was an extension of people like Brad Weber and Wayne Perkins.
Yeah, they're all the original.
But so
families.
Yeah, and so another thing is, so like our generation, you left York, went into the service, went into college, and I know that I left, and when I went away, people would pick up on my accent and they teased me about it. So then I was like, oh, I'm not going to talk like that anymore. And I started putting the R's in where they were supposed to be. And I noticed a lot of people that went away did the same thing.
Tell them that you don't know how to talk.
But Ron, you've rectified your dialect too, and you assimilate more with what we would expect, like a non-local to sound like, more than those guys. You don't have that drawl. Did you think that you had it? Do you think when you were growing up?
Oh yeah, I always did, but it's sort of been drummed out of me by
that's what I'm saying.
Various. Yeah, as soon as you go, when I first went to Florida State University, the first thing they said is, you need to take a speech class.
And the same thing happened to me.
What for? I could talk.
The same thing happened to me. I was in class and you had to go around and say what you like to do. And I was in an art school, and they're like, and I said, I really like art. And people was like, what did you say? What was that? What was that word? And I was like, what do you mean?
Burger.
But people like Brad, who also, went in the service, Brad Weber went in the service, went to college. He came back and he kind of like,
He got worse.
Yeah, he got worse.
God bless him.
So and then I was thinking, up here on the backside of the mountain, you've got a lot of Scots people. You've got the Irish, the Welsh, Scots being maybe the Thompson. And so you've said before too, when some of these guys, the Fitzgeralds, would take their load of lumber down to the ship, down to the docks in Cape Menach, that they would be singing or speaking in a dialect. And I was wondering if you thought that they all kind of had the same dialect up here, or if there were variations what they brought from their ancestors up here, so that really nobody understood each other.
No, they all had they all could understand each other. They had their own
Okay.
language pattern.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and
But they could tell also what area they were from. As Neil said, there were, you could tell the pond people.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then you could tell the mountain people.
Wow, that's
Because
amazing.
he could detect a difference in the dialect between the people down around the pond,
Yeah,
and then the people up around the mountain.
yeah, yeah,
He thought that ones up around the mountain were the truer of the,
yeah. So that would be
the
unique.
original.
So those dialects would be really unique to this area, as opposed to like York Village and York Harbor, because you had much more influx of affluent people moving in there.
I mean, you got people like Ralph Wynn down there, the Cape Medic, that old fisherman,
Yeah,
character, and saying how strange.
yeah,
It was strange.
yeah,
By their language, it was
Yeah.
strange.
yeah.
And then, I mean, if you ever heard Ralph Wynn talk, you go, wow, they really must have been strange.
Yeah, that's great.
He was quite a storyteller.
Yeah,
Quite a storyteller.
yeah. He wrote the book Legends of Cape Medic. Yeah. So, all right. So we're going to start hiking.
Well, this is an interesting road because it has a name. It's mentioned on some of the deeds, and then of course it's on Elizabeth Warren's map that she did. But I've never been able to figure out where that ever first came from.
Huh.
It's quite obvious. It's on high ground, and up here on high ground is where the beaches are.
Yeah.
It's called the Beechwood Road.
Oh, okay.
But where did that, who was the guy that gave it that name?
Yeah, yeah.
Or when?
So it didn't go over to Beech Ridge at some point.
No, it didn't. It goes down and hits the original Bell Marsh Road.
Yeah. Oh.
At schoolhouse number 7.
Yeah.
7.
You think there was enough wood here to sustain like several generations of families?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Well, hardwood.
Yeah, but that's hard to imagine. Oh yeah, Scott.
Dog. Gotta be. Canine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so what do you think they would, like, with a saw on one person?
We're headed in on the first hill right now.
Okay. Or the horse hills.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Ron, like one person could cut, maybe, say you cut a cord every day for half a year. You'd have
in those books of my day books of my great-grandfather and great-great-grandfather, how much each guy cut a day.
So you could get a good idea of what was going. So today, I mean, with modern equipment and stuff, they'd have this cut off in probably
No time.
a couple of weeks or a
Yeah.
month. Yeah, completely stripped without much effort. Not a lot of energy.
I've got a picture of my grandfather took from the top of the mountain when he was young. My grandfather Nowell, looking right at the horse hills.
Really?
And right at the top of two of them, there wasn't even a blueberry bush. There's
Wow.
these big squares, and nothing left in them. They cut everything.
Wow.
You see the house of Orrin Fitzgerald's, and he's out front cutting wood. There isn't anything bigger than 3 inches
Yeah.
in diameter.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all sapling.
Yeah. And he was probably like a third or fourth generation.
This was my grandfather was a teamster and a scaler for Champlain Lumber Company from Beaver Dam, North Berwick. And they cut over here a lot. He went over here and he scaled out lots.
Yeah.
He'd come over here in the morning with 2 teams of horses from South Berwick, hook up onto these scoop sleds, with logs or cordwood on them. If there were logs, he hauled them to North Berwick to Beaver Dam. What's that? 6 miles? 7
Yeah, at
miles?
least. I would think at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then what, you think at the same time he had a car to drive around with?
Yep.
Or yeah.
Yep.
Wow, so he'd bring his horses home every night.
Yep. Yep, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the winter.
Yeah.
In the winter.
Yeah.
Because you got to do the cows before you go. Except that was my father. He hated it. He was the older. So he'd get up then too. 4:30 in the morning.
Was your father like a storyteller? Did he like to share all his family stuff with you?
He was a good genealogist, teller.
Oh.
You know, he knew an awful lot of people and their relationships. You know, I got a tape of him and Donald Boston and Maxine Boston, and they're sitting around on a Saturday night talking about, you remember Junior Beckford? You know, and then all these old people.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, wasn't there a bridge down there by Theodore Blaisdell's? You know, and they're all telling stories about these different people 100 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
I think Maxine tells the story of when my Uncle Forrest killed her father deer hunting.
That's a true story?
Yeah.
Oh.
Shot him in the eyeball.
Killed him?
He died of pneumonia in Mass General.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's an opening over there, Ron. It's
a dried up vernal pool.
Already, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he skipped school. 15 years old, I think he was, maybe 16. Went deer hunting with his uncle. His uncle had on a brown coat. In those days, they didn't, you know.
Yeah.
They were over on the Hills Road. At Boston, Oliver Boston place. He stepped out of the woods. And Forrest saw it moving, fired and shot him right in the eye.
Wow.
I don't know what it was. You know, what rifle. It must have been a 22. I don't believe it could have been, you know, a deer rifle would have killed him.
Yeah.
Right on the spot. So I assume where he was a teenager.
Yeah.
And young, he probably had a 22.
Yeah. Wow.
Howland, Boston.
I didn't know that. I don't remember him having that reputation when I was going to church.
I don't know. I don't think there's a person that knew it.
But they knew he died from pneumonia? He must have had a funeral.
No, that they knew that Forrest shot him and he died.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he wouldn't have been in the hospital and got pneumonia. He hadn't been shot in the eyeball.
Yeah, right. So you think we missed all of the orchids?
No, this is still a good time to find them.
So if we went down in that vernal pool, if that's a vernal pool, we'd probably see a couple.
You might from the looks of that down there. See that? It's got sun, direct sun. You might.
Yeah.
I'd try Second Hill Brook now, starting right there. Take this Second Hill Road and follow it up.
Yeah.
Probably a couple hundred yards up there before you get to where they exist. Because this is a good time to find them. Height of the mosquito season in June.
And so, what was Bell Marsh? Was that a marsh back during the colonial period, or?
It's a big cedar swamp.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Daniel Nowell dammed it.
Oh.
It was a cedar bog. He dammed it to put a shingle mill there to take advantage of the cedar. Then he bought Linscott's marsh. Then he bought Ramsel's marsh. Now, they're all the cedar. Of course, he got Kilgore's by Grant. That was a novel that got Kilgore. See, they got all those marshes for the cedar because that's where they made their money.
Is that the same cedar that's down behind the Mount Agamenticus?
Yeah. Yeah, shingles.
Yeah. What's the species of that again? What's the species of that cedar. What's it called? Is it
Atlantic white cedar. Now getting cool off.
You going in?
No. No. I'm gonna wait till I get down there. That one that forms Ransel's Marsh Brook. I think that one will be full of water. It was about 3.5 feet deep, maybe 4 feet deep. Yeah, that girl.
You think there's a snapper in here?
Probably. Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised there's probably a blandings here too.
Are they compatible?
As far as I know. I don't know why they wouldn't be. Boy, when that comes down, that is going to be a roar.
You going in?
No, there's nothing I can get into. I thought maybe there was, but there isn't. Save that one there. What am I surprised at? Anything looking. All I'm into. How in the hell did that grow like that, huh?
Yeah, that's good.
It's not a burl.
No.
It's just a trunk.
It is.
Curved around and went up.
That is very characteristic of that, what they're talking about when a Native American bends a tree like that. But Ron, that's a hemlock.
Yeah.
Huh. Very interesting. And that's not a tupelo next to it, is it? Yeah, it is.
Could be.
Geez, so they grow like that.
Could.
Ron, you know what's interesting is it's lower than the stream. The stream's uphill from that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's catching, it's picking up when there's overflow. It comes down in here and just.
It must be coming from up in there. It's coming from up in there in the ledge.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get underneath the tree. I'll stick your arm down in there.
Wow. Oh, nice. There's water in it. Yeah.
What the hell is that?
You going in?
Put my arm down there.
You will?
Yeah.
Okay, you do it.
That's ledge. It goes down. Oh, yeah. Whew, is that cold?
Huh.
Oh, is that cold? That is cold. One glass of ice water right there. There you go. Get it right out of there.
Oh, yeah. Huh. That's cool.
That's when Indians stopped and filled up their thermos.
You sure it's not an orchid?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
It could be a flag.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, look at where the deer have been. You know what's weird is deer eat some
They'll eat
birds.
them. I went up one year and I found about 3 or 4 orchids before they came out.
Yeah.
And I went back and them ate every damn one of them. Every orchid.
Yeah, that's awful.
We went right by a cemetery and a cellar hole. I know damn well
Cemetery?
We did. Yeah.
Marble stones?
No, I don't think so. I think it's fieldstone. It's on that map.
Oh, dang. Shoot, you didn't tell. I didn't know there was a cemetery.
Yeah. No, what they call Old Mountain Road starts down to the schoolhouse.
Yeah.
That's Schoolhouse Hill.
Right.
And I have no idea why they call it the Old Mountain Road. I have no idea. And I've never seen anything that on a deed. I don't know what them deeds of Kenny and them say up there, what they refer to it as, the earliest deeds. Because his relatives, that house up there that Kenny Moulton was in is the first house built up there.
Oh. So Tannic Road starts...
That's Welch.
Yeah, yeah.
That's his mother was Gladys Welch. Well, Bub Welch lived there. But that's always been Welch's, right? There's a cellar hole just beyond Kenny's house, almost in front of Mike Moulton's house. There's another cellar hole there, and that's a Welch also. I think them two brothers moved up there when they were freed from servitude in Dover.
Yeah, one of them I read didn't move up here.
Okay. But there were just too many Welches up here to be one guy to start the whole thing.
Yeah, so it could have been. They could have.
There's a Welch cellar hole. There's a Welch cellar hole. There's a Welch cellar hole.
Yeah.
There's Welch's Pond. There's a Welch cemetery and a Welch cellar hole. It's gone.
Yeah.
Kerry Water District dug it up.
Yeah.
And they said they took the remains down the York. Now that road there goes down to a cemetery that they destroyed when they did the latest pond. Where did they put the people? Said they took them to York Village. Where?
Oh.
Yes, the Water District, they don't know. That's Kittery. Where did you put them? That was a Shaw cemetery down there.
So the parish records would say if they were in the parish cemetery.
Yeah, but
you have to know who they
this
were.
is like 1980. I think the cemetery they thought was going to be inundated.
Flooded with water?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they dug them out. And the one at Folly Pond, they wanted it for a gravel pit to build a dam at the upper end of Folly Pond.
Oh, yeah.
And because where is there gravel? Wherever there's a cellar hole and a cemetery.
Yeah.
So they dug out the cellar hole and they dug out the cemetery. Christ, in William Sweat deed, he leaves his mattress and bedding to my great-great-grandmother. His mattress and his bedding.
Yeah.
Not his bed.
Yeah.
A mattress. Them old fucking things stuffed with corn cobs or whatever. Jesus
So Elizabeth
Christ.
Stover did the same thing. She had 3 slaves. She did the same thing. She said, to my manslave, I give the bedding and the gun. He got the gun.
Yeah.
And then the 2 women, the mother and the daughter, got the bedding, and one of them got some of her garments, and the other one got the bedding and like 3 shillings of silver.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what are they going to do? They're going to take the bed out into the... Where do you put a bed?
Well, at least they got something to wrap up into.
I guess so.
Annotate everything. Right down to a...
Yeah, that is interesting.
Broken cane.
Yeah.
Rusty gun. Yeah, I've seen rusty gun.
Yeah.
Rusty pistol.
Yeah. Yeah.
Russell's got a deed for Daniel Ware buying Boone Island.
Yeah.
And he bought another ledge, underwater ledge that showed at low water 2 pistol shots to the east. And Russell goes, I wonder what caliber gun that was.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, I said he had a 357 Magnum. It was a couple miles.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh. Wow.
Wow, these are like digitalis.
Yeah, I've never seen this before.
Wow. Yeah, this is a railroad.
Yeah. been somebody by this morning.
Huh?
Today.
Oh dear, yeah. Whoa, what's that?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. It hasn't opened up yet.
Yeah.
Next time I come up by here, I'm going to stop and just walk. Just take a second and pop down here, see what it is. I don't know. It's really distinctive leaves, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Very distinctive.
Yeah.
And obviously that's a flower in there, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, looks like it.
It's probably yellow.
Yeah, it's two of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotta come down here and check that out. We didn't find the Native American settlement.
Well, we might have, Ron.
Next, I think what we'll do next time is park at the foot.
Yeah.
Start down here a little bit and cross the street.
Yeah.
Try to find the Welch place there.
Yeah.
And there's a brook to the left, and the brook has probably got a well in, and that brook has a saprophytic orchid that grows in it. It doesn't have chlorophyll. I was in there with some women from the Conservation Commission walking up that brook, talking to them about it, and walk right up onto their markets.
Really? Nice.
Yeah, the saprophytic. They live on a fungus. They don't have chlorophyll.
Wow.
And they're an orchid.
So we'll be tasked with
these
finding
these main orchids up here are habanerias. They belong to Habanera family. But this one up here in the brook doesn't. I can't remember what it's called. It's the only brook I've ever found it in.
Huh. So we're back at our cars now. We're on the mountain road. We've been hiking on the west side of the mountain road through just above Ramsell Marsh, Ramsell Brook. Went out towards Bell Marsh. We were looking for a couple of...
Went out to Linskitz Marsh Brook.
Linskitz Marsh Brook. And then we looked for some cellar holes. And
looked for cellar holes at Sally Shaw place in the cemetery. But somebody moved them because we couldn't find it.
but yeah, we're gonna...
We probably had gone further down that road where it's so indecisive, where they all grown up and stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It might have been down in there, but I didn't think so.
Yeah,
I thought it was back up on here.
And it's really easy to miss a cellar hole in the woods.
You don't know where they are. You walk right by them.
Yeah, and we found some invasive plants. We found a yellow digitalis foxglove.
Oh man, that was loaded with them. Beautiful, gorgeous.
They were pretty.
And Japanese spirea.
Yeah, Japanese spirea, which is another. It's
invasive. Doing way out there in the woods.
Yeah.
Pretty plants, beautiful flowers.
Yeah. So, and then we came down through the Ramsell Brook, which is where Ron has read from William O. Williams, the first governor of the state of Maine, who wrote a history on the state of Maine, who says that the Native Americans were down near that brook.
At the foot of the mountain. At
the foot of the mountain. And we came into this area on the Ramsell Brook that is like... for me, everything just kind of changed. The feeling changed. It turned into primarily evergreen trees, and there were large hemlocks that had been totally emaciated by woolly adelgids. And
100-foot trees. It's got to be any number of 100-foot trees down in there.
Yeah.
Straight pines, not a branch for 75 feet.
Yeah.
Just as straight as a line.
Yeah.
Beautiful trees.
Yeah. So it changed the kind of mood of the forest. Before we were primarily like in a beach area. We had a lot of beach, and we went through a couple of quarry areas.
Scrubby forest like this here.
Yeah.
But that was very mature.
Yeah.
Very mature forest, and a beautiful brook. It's just it's utterly fantastic down in there.
Yeah, and we've been looking for the orchids that I've been told exist in this area, white and purple. And I still haven't seen any of those, but Ron keeps telling me that they're out here. So we're gonna.
Yeah, here we'll find one.
So we're gonna both. We will find one. So I am Kevin Freeman, and this is Ron Nowell. Cheers.